king thundered and said to his guards, "Since I cannot have a son of my own from my loins, go into the village. Any pregnant woman you come across, bundle them to the palace." After the mysterious death of King Odumodu's son Ikemba ascended to the throne of Zuma Kingdom, inheriting a legacy tainted by bloodshed and tyranny. With a heart colder and more ruthless than his father, Ikemba ruled with an iron fist, instilling fear and obedience in the hearts of his subjects. Yet, beneath the facade of power and authority, a haunting truth loomed over the kingdom: the curse of the royal bloodline. Despite his desperate attempts to secure an heir to his throne, Ikemba's hopes were shattered time and time again, as each son born into the royal family met a tragic fate, perishing before the age of 2 days. Driven by desperation and a gnawing fear of a legacy cut short, Ikemba took desperate measures to secure his dynasty's future. He took 3 wives, each choosing for their beauty and noble lineage, in a bid to produce an heir who could break the curse that haunted his family. But despite the lavish ceremony and fervent prayers, each wife bore only daughters, their hopes dashed by the cruel hand of fate. As whisper of the cursed bloodline spread through the kingdom, Ikemba's desperation grew and his grip on power slipping as the weight of his failure bore down upon him. With each passing day, the kingdom held its breath, awaiting the birth of a son who would defy the odds and usher in a new era of prosperity and stability. In the tranquil embrace of Omago, a community where the slave girl and Ike's wife took refuge when they were being pursued by King Odumodu. The legacy of the slave girl and Ike's wife lives on through their sons, Ikemefula and Obinna. Before her passing, the slave girl bestowed upon Ike's wife a sacred duty to name their son in honor of the great warlord Ayaka, her lover, whose strength and valor had once illuminated the kingdom of Zuma. Ike's wife christened Ayaka's son Ikemefula, a name that reverenced with the echoes of noble lineage and the promise of a brighter future. And Obinna, the son of Ike, the great fighter, who rescued the slave girl and his wife from the reach of Odumodu. As Ikemefula and Obinna grew and flourished under the watchful gaze of their community where they took refuge in Omago, their bond deepens with each passing day, inseparable companion. Guided by the wisdom of their mothers and the teachings of their elders, Ikemefula and Obinna blossom into the pillars of strength and pillars of the community where they took refuge. Meanwhile, back in the land of Zuma, King Ikemba's thirst for power knows no bound. Fueled by his insatiable desire for an heir to his throne, he descended into a pit of darkness, resorting to unspeakable acts of cruelty and depravity. Driven by his obsession, King Ikemba resorted to kidnapping pregnant women from their homes. Any woman who is pregnant in the land of Zuma Kingdom, Ikemba sent out his guard to kidnap them and bring them to the palace, imprisoning them within the walls of his palace until they gave birth. With each newborn son that enters the world, he seized the child by force. But any male child being born into that palace, be it from Ikemba or anyone else, will die before 2 days. In a chilling display of cruelty, King Ikemba orders his loyal guard to silence any who dare to oppose him, their swords dripping with the blood of innocent men who seek only the return of their wives. Any man who came to the palace for their pregnant wife will meet a terrible fate from the king Ikemba. It's either he eliminates them or imprisons them. With each act of violence, the king's grip on power tightens, his thirst for control consuming all who stand in his way. But amidst the chaos and despair, the chief priest stood his ground and confronted the king and his wicked ways. He told the king, "King Ikemba, you have to change from your wicked ways or meet a terrible death just like your father Odumodu, who died a mysterious death. You have to change your ways or the gods will curse you." King Ikemba was furious. He swore by his throne to deal with the chief priest. Yet, in a cruel twist of fate, the chief priest's noble efforts are met with betrayal and treachery, as King Ikemba ruthlessly eliminates him, his blood staining the sacred ground upon which he stood. With his death, the people of Zuma are left reeling, their faith in the gods shattered and their hope for salvation dwindling with each passing day. Then they say to each other, "The gods have forgotten us." Amidst the turmoil and uncertainty, the kingdom stands divided as some elders pledge their allegiance to the king Ikemba, their thirst for power outweighing their sense of morality. Others, however, pretended to be loyal to the king because they are scared of losing their lives. But in the midst of King Ikemba's reign of terror, a lone figure emerges from the shadow, a beacon of hope among the darkness that shrouded the kingdom of Zuma. Onowu Gonabo, the last surviving brother of the late head warrior Ayaka, stands as a bastion of courage and righteousness in the face of tyranny. A man of unwavering integrity and unyielding resolve, Onowu Ugonabo refuses to bow to the oppressive rule of King Ikemba. He always speaks up against King Ikemba to his face, his spirit unbroken by the fear and intimidation that grips the land. With each passing day, he becomes a thorn in the side of the tyrant king. Yet despite his defiance, King Ikemba finds himself powerless to silence Onowu Ugonabo. For the people of Zuma hold him in high regard, his reputation as a man of honor and integrity preceding him. Though the king may scheme and plot against him, but still couldn't eliminate him. Then he stopped trying. In the quiet village of Omago, Ikemefula celebrated his 16th birthday, a milestone marked by the discovery of a long-hidden secret, the golden crown that adorned his head at birth. Ike's wife told him about the crown which he was born with, telling him that he has a great destiny ahead of him. But she never mentioned to him who he really is. She said to herself, it is not yet time for him to know. He is still too young. The crown serves as a reminder of his noble lineage and the destiny that awaits him. With his brother Obinna by his side, Ikemefula embarks on a new journey. He started tapping palm wine and selling. Their expertise in the craft earned them visibility throughout the neighboring villages and communities. Their palm wine sought after for its exceptional quality and flavor. Despite their mother's warning to stay clear of Zuma Kingdom, Ikemefula and Obinna dream of one day taking their trade to the heart of the kingdom, their youthful ambition driving them forward in pursuit of new horizons and opportunities. Meanwhile, 5 years later, in the halls of power in Zuma Kingdom, King Ikemba's awake to a nightmare of his own making, a sudden affliction that renders him unable to speak or walk. He woke up one morning only to notice that he can't hear his voice and he can't move his legs. Desperate for answers, he calls upon all the most powerful native doctors and diviners in the land, but none can unravel the mystery of his condition. As the days pass and his condition worsens, King Ikemba finds himself trapped in a world of silence and isolation. His once mighty voice reduced to a mere whisper. With each passing moment, King Ikemba's allies and accomplices continued from where he stopped. As the once mighty ruler languished in silence and isolation, his absence creates a power vacuum that is quickly filled by his accomplices and allies. With the king incapacitated, the evil elders continue to wield their influence unchecked, using their positions of authority to further their own selfish agendas under the guise of loyalty to the crown. They manipulate and exploit the people of Zuma, lining their pockets with ill-gotten gains. As the sun casts its golden rays over the bustling market of Omago, where Afamefula and Obinna sells their palm wine, Afamefula proudly showcased his finest palm wine to Onowu Gonabu, who had visited the market that fateful day. Impressed by the quality of their products, Onowu extended a gracious invitation to Ikemefula and Obinna to deliver more of their renowned palm wine to him in Zuma Kingdom. Despite their mother's warning echoing in their ears, the allure of opportunity and adventure proved too enticing for Ikemefula and Obinna to resist. They set out for Zuma Kingdom, carrying their palm wine, their hearts filled with hope and anticipation. But as they crossed the threshold into the kingdom's gates, Ikemefula and Obinna felt some type of way. They felt at home. There is something sinister about this place, they said to each other. Their mother never told them the reason why she wanted them to stay away from Zuma Kingdom. So therefore, they concluded that when they get home, they are going to ask their mother. As they journeyed deeper into the heart of Zuma Kingdom, they were met with a sight that chilled them to the bone. A land gripped by fear and oppression, its people cowed into submission by the iron fist of King Ikemba and his corrupt allies. Ikemefula and Obinna's spirits were overwhelmed by the thought of bringing joy and relief to Onowu Gonabo and his household. Little did they know, however, that their journey would soon take an unexpected turn in Zuma land. As time passed, Ikemefula bonded with Onowu Gonabo. The bond grew stronger. The old man, sensing a hidden depth to the young man's character that intrigued him, though he could not quite grasp the full extent of Ikemefula's origin, of which he asked him who his father was. Ikemefula told Onowu Gonabo that his father died before he was born, that he only knew who his mother was. He welcomed him into his home with open arms, treating him as his own son. Meanwhile, Ikemefula and Obinna continued their secret visit to Zuma Kingdom, their hearts drawn to the land despite the dangers that lurked within its wall. It was there that Ikemefula's path crossed with that of Ijawele, a gentle and compassionate soul who captured his heart with her quiet strength and beauty. As their love blossomed in the shadows of Zuma Kingdom, Ikemefula knew in his heart that Ijawele was the one he wanted to spend his future with. Her presence bringing light and warmth to his life in the midst of darkness and uncertainty. But amidst the joy of newfound love, tragedy struck the family as Ike's wife passed away peacefully in her sleep one fateful morning. With her passing, a veil of sadness descended upon the household, leaving Ikemefula and Obinna to grapple with the weight of unanswered questions about their past. In the wake of their mother's death, Onowu Ugonabu took Ikemefula and Obinna under his wing, adopting them as his own sons and welcoming them into his home in Zuma Kingdom. Together, they embarked on a new chapter of their lives, bonding by love, loyalty, and unbreakable ties of family. After King Ikemba was struck by the gods, he only sits on his throne and stare at people. He could not talk, neither can he walk. The gods also visited the land with plague. Strange things started happening in the land of Zuma. So much evil has been committed in the land. So much innocent blood was spilled, and their souls cry out to Seploa, the god of creation, for vengeance. King Ikemba's daughters died one after the other. Women died during childbirth. Young people died untimely death. Their streams turned to pool of blood. Drought visited their land. The king, who couldn't talk, only uses sign language to communicate with the elders. They started seeking help from other kingdoms. They searched until they found a great seer who told them that the evil in the land is so great that the land needs cleansing. Then he said, "So I see, I speak. 7 virgins. I see 7 virgins. They will journey into the ancient ancestral forest to recover the ancient egg of purity and life, in order to give life to Zuma Kingdom again." On the day of virgin selection, the mothers, in a bid to save their daughters from the perilous quest, whisked them away secretly to another land. But if the seer chooses your household, you must provide your daughter. On that very day, Ijawele ran to Ikemefula and pleaded with him to break her virginity, because she do not want to embark on that journey, and she won't be selected if she is no longer a virgin. Moved by love and compassion, Ikemefula accepted her request and disvirgined her immediately. The seer was on his way home after selecting the 6 virgins, when the gods redirected his footstep back to Ijawele's hut. When the seer and the elders arrived at Ijawele's mother's hut, Ijawele's mother started crying and begging them to spare her daughter. Ijawele also fell on the ground, crying, as she revealed to the seer that she is no longer a virgin. But the seer still insisted that the gods has chosen her to undertake the sacred quest. On the fateful day of the quest, the 7 maiden virgins gathered before the revered seer, their hearts heavy with determination and resolve. With solemn prayers and blessing, he fortified them for the journey ahead, invoking the protection of the gods as they embark on their sacred mission. As they set forth into the depths of the ancient forest, the echoes of their loved ones' tearful farewells lingered in the air, a reminder of the weight of their tasks and the sacrifices made in the name of redemption. As the canopy of trees closed in around them, casting dappled shadows upon the forest floor, the maidens pressed over deeper into the heart of the wilderness, their footsteps echoing with the weight of destiny. They met an old woman inside the forest, trying to lift a bundle of firewood to her head. They stopped and stared at her. One of the maidens went to help her, but her sisters tried to stop her. It was too late, as she disappeared into the thin air with the woman. The remaining 6 virgins started crying and wailing for their sisters. But as they were still crying, she appeared back again to them with lots of food and clothes. They thought she was a ghost, but she told them that the woman rewarded her for helping by giving her all these things. The girls pounced on the food because they were so hungry. They also changed their clothes with the one the old woman had given them and continued their journey into the forest. 2 months later, a shadow of unease fell upon them as Ijawele suddenly fell ill. Her body racked with vomiting and tiredness. At first, they dismissed it as a passing ailment, perhaps the result of something she had eaten along their journey. But as the symptom persisted, a dreadful realization dawned upon them that Ijawele was pregnant. Shocked and confused rippled through the group as they asked, "What is going on?" They asked Ijawele, "Did the seer not know that you are no longer a virgin?" Her heart heavy with guilt and uncertainty, she recounted the events that had led to her loss of purity and how the seer insisted that she must go after she disclosed to him that she is no longer a virgin. Her words hanging heavy in the air like a dark cloud. In the midst of their confusion, the maiden virgins found themselves faced with a dilemma. Should they continue their journey with one who have been deemed impure, or should they turn back and seek guidance from the seer? As they contemplate on what to do, a mighty figure appeared before them in the forest, roared and asked them, "Who is that impure maiden that dares to enter into the forest of the great ancient ancestors? How dare you bring your filthy self into the forest? You are not worthy to live." The figure roared. The leader of the virgin girl sprang into action immediately and answered the figure and said, "She was chosen by the great seer Ugo, and that means she is worthy to live." Then she immediately dipped hand into her bag and brought out an egg, hove it over her head 3 times, and smashed it on the ground. The being disappeared immediately, and the girls hugged themselves and continued running into the forest. Amidst the tribulations and the chaos in Zuma Kingdom, the elders gathered for a brief meeting with the seer. Onowu Ugonabo took Ikemefula and Obinna with him to the meeting so that he can introduce them to the elders as his adopted sons. But when they got to the meeting, the king, whom have been motionless and only stares at space, was terrified when he set his eyes on Ikemefula. He jerked and beckoned to his personal guard, who now interprets whatever he says with his hands, who is now his interpreter. Then he motioned to the guards, which the guard interpreted and said, "Onowu Gonabo, the king greets you." And he asked, "Who is the young man with you?" Then Onowu laughed and said to the king that he is my son. The king laughed. Then he beckoned to his interpreter once more. Then the interpreter said again, "Onowu, the king said that you have no son, and everybody is aware that you have no son. You only have 2 daughters who are married and in their husband's house, and both of you are even on this." So he asked again, "Who is the young man with you?" Onowu explained to the elders about the origin of Ikemefula and Obinna and how he adopted them as his sons. The king looked terrified as Ikemefula, for no reason, stared into the eyes of Ikemba, his eyes like fire as he stared at the king. The king, who was so uncomfortable, wanted to speak, but he could not. As Ikemefula looked at the king with so much concentration and fire in his eyes, a memory was revealed to him. The guards opened his eyes and he saw a warrior strangling another warrior who was sleeping on the the floor. Then he came back to his senses and realized that that was a vision from the gods. And that vision arose when he looked at Ikemba. Onowu tapped him while the king summoned his guards to take him away immediately from the throne room. Everybody was confused, while the seer only looked and laughed. The elders were confused. There was commotion in the meeting. Onowu had to take his sons home. On their way home, he asked Ikemefula, what happened? Why were you looking at the king like that? Ikemefula explained and said, Papa, I do not know what came over me, but I saw a vision. I saw something, a warrior strangling another warrior while he sleeps. Onowu paused and looked at him. Are you certain of this you speak? Ikemefula said, yes, Papa. That was what I saw when I looked at King Ikemba in the eyeballs. Then Onowu said, I will ask questions about this. For now, let us head home. That was how Ikemefula's vision started. His nightmares. When he closes his eyes to sleep, he sees a vision of a woman running in the forest. He do not understand the visions which he sees. He was confused. Ikemefula wakes up every midnight, sweating profusely from nightmares he had. He always sees a particular woman running in the forest. He couldn't understand what the nightmares are all about. What is his connection with King Ikemba that made him start having nightmares immediately he visited the palace? He thought about this and decided to share with Onowu. He told Onowu all the nightmares he has been having since they visited the palace. Onowu was dumbfounded. He said, what could this be? What is your connection with the palace? He promised Ikemefula to ask questions about his origin. Onowu set out early in the morning on an Ori market day. He went to a particular native doctor. Immediately he sat down. The native doctor raised his hand and said to him, Onowu, a man of truth and justice, I know why you are here. Before you got here, the gods have opened my eyes to see the reason why you came. The young man you adopted as your son, you came because he has been having nightmares after the day he visited your king. Onowu said, yes, wise one, exactly. Then the wise one said to him, for all that has been done in the dark will soon come to light. You have a great messenger of the gods in your midst, and he will expose everything when the time comes. Go, Onowu. Onowu decided to pay the seer a visit on his way coming back from the shrine. The seer said to him, the secret you seek for is hidden in the very existence of the egg of purity. You will have patience, Onowu, until the virgins get back home with the egg. Everything you seek will be revealed to you. Meanwhile, in the palace, King Ikemba is seen fighting with himself. He could not believe what happened. Who is that young man, he think to himself. Why do I felt fire all over me when he looked at me? Who is his father? Where is he from? And all those questions, none was answered. King Ikemba sent for a witch from the neighboring kingdom. And the witch said to King Ikemba, the young man is a great child of destiny. I cannot see beyond that. I am not allowed to see beyond that. King Ikemba was furious. Who is this young man? Where is he from? King Ikemba said to the witch, eliminate that young man. I do not like the way I feel about him. He is so strong that the fire from him nearly consumed me the first time I set my eyes on him. Please, eliminate him. I don't want any threat to my throne." Then the witch said to King Ikemba, "That young man cannot be killed. He has the protections of the gods and the ancestors around him. You cannot penetrate him, neither can you kill him." King Ikemba was furious. Who is this young man and why can't he be killed? I have killed great personalities. I have eliminated thousands of people, he thought to himself. Why can't this one be killed? He sent out his personal guards to secretly ambush him. But none of their attempts was fruitful. They could not eliminate Ikemefula. He has the protection of the gods around him. No man can kill him. 4 months have passed since the virgins set out for their mission in the forest of the ancestors. Ijawele is seen heavy with pregnancy. As they continued the journey into the forest, their hopes were high and their minds determined to bring purity to their land. They got to a path. Then the keeper of the egg appeared to them. She said to them, "Welcome, virgins of Zuma Kingdom. Welcome to the ancient forest, for you have gotten to your destination." Then she looked and saw Ijawele heavy with pregnancy. Abomination! How is it possible that a pregnant woman is inside the forest of the ancestors? How did it happen? Then the girl said to her, she was selected by the seer. Then she looked at Ijawele intensely. Then she said, "We will find out if truly the gods choose you. Follow me." They followed her. Then they got to a small hut full of smoke. There, inside the calabash, the mighty and ancient egg laid, waiting for them. The girls were overjoyed. They were happy. Finally, we have gotten to our destination. Finally, we have seen the egg. Then the priestess of the forest said to them, "I am the keeper of the ancient egg. I have been waiting for you people right from the day you set out your foot from your land. Now it is time. Him whom the gods have chosen will bear the egg back home." The girls were confused. They said, "We do not understand what you mean, him whom the gods have chosen." She laughed. "Ha ha 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 ha. Do you think that you can lay your hands on the mighty egg of the ancestors and live? Let him whom the gods choose lay their hands and carry the egg home, because nobody enters the forest of the ancestors and lives alive." The girls were shocked. Their happiness cut short immediately. They started crying, but their leader encouraged them. She said, "We have come this far and we know the gods will not forsake us. We will go and take the egg one after the other. Whoever the gods chooses will take the egg home and cleanse our land." Ijawele wanted to go first. Then the woman screamed, "Ta! Go back! You are not worthy to touch the egg. You will be the last to go close to the egg." Then other girls started going one after the other. The first girl went. Immediately she touched the egg. She screamed and disappeared. Fear gripped the remaining 6. Everybody started crying. They could not go any further. Nobody wanted to touch the egg. The forest keeper screamed at them, "Go and carry the egg." The second person went. The same thing. Immediately she touched the egg. She screamed and disappeared.